Good evening. I am sitting outside at night with the full moon. There's the full moon. Where are you? Where are you, full moon? There you are. I just wanted to talk with you. I wanted to have a little talk with all of you. So sit down and get comfy and maybe get yourself a cup of tea. This is my little solar tree. These are little lights that are lit up by solar energy. And I just wanted to have a little talk with Richard. If he's tuning in, and also just a little story about myself. I had been thinking about just reflecting on my past and the different things that happened, each choice that we made, each decision, everything that we have gone through in our lives, and where it goes, what it's leading to, and what we're supposed to learn. What is the purpose of our life is the philosophical question. And the reason I'm mentioning this is I was thinking about back when I didn't have anything, not even a nickel in my pocket, and yet somehow I was able to get an apartment with a friend. And this was before I met Richard. I was about 18 years old, and my parents pretty much, it was a bit like, you're on your own now. That's kind of the attitude that they had. It wasn't like I had a safety net with them. It was like, you're 18, you're on your own now. And they didn't exactly prepare me for the big bad world. Yeah, they didn't even show me, okay, this is how you write a check. I didn't even know how to write a damn check. I remember going to I can't remember where it was. I had to have some clothes, that a jacket or something that needed to go to a dryer's, I forget what it's called now, where, you go to the laundry place, where they do your special suits, and I can't remember the name, but anyway, I had a jacket that I had to get cleaned, and you couldn't do it on your own. You had to take it to a special cleaning, and I had a checkbook. I set up a bank account, but I took out the checkbook and I said, I don't even know how to write what I'm supposed to do. And the gentleman was very kind, and he said, okay, here's how you do it. And he showed me, how to write the check. And, it's funny how you remember little things like that. And I wanted to go to college. That was the main reason why I ended up in California, because there was, and at the community college, you could get the 2 years of general education completed pretty much for free, as long as you were a resident. And I thought, that sounds great. So I wanted to start college, and I had to establish my residency before I could get that benefit. And I remember I was at this apartment with a friend in Woodland Hills, and I had a job as a waitress, and so we both split the the rent money, and it was a pretty nice apartment. And I went to the library and I checked out these books that I didn't even know anything about philosophy. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I was checking out these books with Hobbes and John Locke and Plato, and I had them in a little stack next to my bed. And I started reading them, and I didn't really understand because I just, my education didn't bring me up to that level to understand everything that was in, these pretty heavy-duty philosophical books. And they weren't secondary sources. It was, it was the real thing. And I think back and I think, well, why did I check those books out? And I don't, how did I even come across them? I knew nothing about philosophy. And yet I found those books and I checked them out at the library. And it just made me realize that somehow there was something guiding me to pursue the study of philosophy without my even knowing it, because I thought, why did I check those books out? How did I even know about those philosophers? I knew nothing about those philosophers. How did I even find them, and why did I check them out? And I tried to read them and I tried to understand them to the best of my ability. Fast forward, and I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in philosophy. And, I had been fortunate enough at a community college to find some really extraordinary teachers. And there was one teacher, Mr. Colmback. He was well known. Everybody just admired him, and his class was just full pack. Everybody wanted to take Mr. Colmback's class because they were just so interesting, and the way he taught philosophy was beyond just teaching you the logic and just the rational principles, whatever. He brought it to an understanding of how it could change your life. He brought it to an understanding of how do these ideas apply to you? How do they change you? What meaning do they have in your life? And they were, he was coming from a deeply spiritual perspective. And when I took the philosophy classes at UCSB, there was none of that. The teachers were horrible. They were just cocky, arrogant assholes that didn't have any foundation and any spiritual principles at all. They were just egomaniacs that thought that they were so smart when they lacked any inner knowledge, from a spiritual perspective, that is. But I was lucky to have that foundation to start with Mr. Colmback. And I did get my degree, and then I went on to get my master's degree in literature. Oh boy, someone's in trouble. Every time I hear a siren, my heart drops because I think of my precious Richard, of what happened to him when he passed. And I don't like the sound of sirens, Anyway. But right about the time that I was right in the middle of completing my bachelor's degree in philosophy is when, I was with Richard. And it was Richard that helped me to have the confidence to keep going. Because there were so many times when I told him, I don't think I can do this, Richard. I don't know if I have the ability to do it. It was a little bit hard for me to get through these classes because I didn't have a strong background in education. I did well in high school, but high school was just a waste of time, pretty much. They didn't really teach you anything in high school. I had to learn on my own. I had to do it on my own. The only reason I could get through my college classes is because of all the books that I read on my own, not from high school, but books that I read independently. And that provided some foundation for my education because I love to read. And I really enjoyed reading all kinds of books when I was young, and especially the Russian writers. I just got really hooked on the Russian writers, Dostoevsky, Chekhov, the poets. I just, fell in love with Russian writers, and their writings kind of provided an education of how to write because it was, high literature. It wasn't trashy literature that I read. It was, gossipy books. It was high literature that I read, and that was my education, not through high school. I learned nothing in high school. And I just but I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in myself because unfortunately my mother kind of instilled in my mind that I wasn't smart. She kind of put that in my brain. She kind of made me think that she would use a phrase like, you're not the smartest, what is the expression? You're not the smartest knife in the drawer or whatever, some kind of stupid thing like that. And but it did have an influence on me, and I felt like as soon as I came close to trying to complete something, I thought, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not smart enough to do it. And it was Richard that gave me the confidence to go on. And, he's the one that said, of course you can do it, and I remember he helped me with my logic class because that was the one that I said, none of this makes sense. If someone could just understand what it is that they're trying to show you with the A equals B, C equals D, what is it, Give me the higher picture here, and then I'll be able to understand it. But, he helped me to understand. It was kind of like algebra. But he's the one that gave me the confidence to go on and the encouragement. And we read things together. I remember I asked him, Richard, there's something I know is really, really important about this story. And it came out of Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. And it's known as the Grand Inquisitor. And that section from that novel has been published in anthology after anthology after anthology. And it was one of the assignments in one of my philosophy classes. And I said, I'm kind of I've kind of got a drift of what this is about, but I really need to know more about it. And he read it, and my God, he just understood it so thoroughly and so deeply. And he went through every part of it with me. And it just was amazing. It was like, oh my gosh, I didn't pick up on that. I didn't know, what this really was about. I was trying to understand what it was about, but he was explaining, that people cannot handle freedom. And that's really the underlining theme of the Grand Inquisitor. And he helped me to understand that. And I remember I had to write a paper on it, and he helped me with it. And this goes all the way back when he had a home in Granada Hills. And I was taking some college classes at Pierce College. And he was helping me understand that story. And Richard, I just want to tell you, I have never forgotten these things. They will always be with me. And I just love you so much for helping me. And so this is kind of, pardon my tears again, this is kind of a continuation of last night's prayer, of reflecting on my life and thinking about how Richard was so much a part of my experience here on this earth, helping me to understand the purpose of my life, the meaning of my life. And I'm just forever grateful. And because of that understanding, I was able to teach that story to my students when I taught philosophy at Cuesta College. And I made it an assignment. And because Richard explained it so clearly to me, I was able to convey how meaningful that story, the Grand Inquisitor, was, and my students, as a result, could come to understand the meaning of it. And I think that I turned out to be a pretty good teacher, and it was part of my my path and my journey and purpose of life that goes all the way back to that time when I was just turned 18, went to the library, got those books, those philosophy books. I don't even know why I checked out those books. I never heard of those philosophers, but obviously I was being guided in some way to continue and pursue that goal, so that I could become a teacher and make some kind of good contribution to this life for others. So I just wanted to share that with you all, and just want to say again how grateful I am to Richard. All right, have a good night. Bye-bye.